what I do has been labeled conspirituality. I've been really confused myself because when I looked in my bookshelf, all kinds of spirituality, this and that, and yoga, and then serial killers and mass murders, and nothing in between. But it's sort of like how to understand this duality. I think that is why I've been looking at both extremes and trying to figure it out. Somebody has to go into the shadows and, with the light, into the belly of the beast, which is super scary. And this thing about courage, before I said I'm not brave, I take that back. I think I'm very brave because courage is only needed when you're scared. And I tell you, I've been more scared than most people, I think, because these forces are brutal, brutal. And I mean, we lost dear friends around us have been murdered. I've been moved country twice. I don't know how many death threats and stuff like that. So it comes with a price. I'm not complaining in any way or form. I've chosen this path.
You're listening to Natural AF, the podcast exposing suppressed truths about health, reality, and human potential. I'm your host, Isaac. I'm the founder of Natural Art Form, and I'm joined by my Australian co-host and partner, Alexa, a Site K facilitator and human design coach. If you're ready to challenge the status quo and explore how the world really works while staying grounded in your deepest purpose, then you're in the right place. Thanks for joining us. Let's get Natural AF. All right, well, welcome back, everybody. This is Natural AF. This is a podcast where we get to explore some interesting topics, to be unafraid and look into the darkness, because we got to find our way out of this mess. And sometimes the only way out is through. And I'm really grateful to have Ole Dammegard on with us today. Welcome.
Thank you. And I tell you, I think there's another way of doing it, and that's transcending it. It is, for me, it's a very important difference. You can fight something, or you can fight for peace. That doesn't really work. Or you can push your way through, or you can transcend it through information, truth, light, boom.
Totally.
Yeah.
And
I'm glad you said that. Yeah.
That's one of the reasons we wanted to get you on, Ole, because these topics can be quite dark and heavy, but what we've found, and, we just said off air, like, this is our first time speaking to you on our show, but we feel like we know you so well because we've watched so much of your content and seen your presentations. And I love that the message that you share with people in this is not to be fearful and not to get caught in, the way that these events and, these certain, angles on things are designed to control people. It is about transcending it. So, that's what we're all about here. It's about finding the way forward and really coming back to who we truly are.
Sounds good to me.
Well, before we dive in, I'm going to read your bio. And as much time as I feel I've spent with you, Ole, I actually didn't know a lot of this about you. You have led a very colorful life. So you're an author, international speaker, former journalist, musician with 2 solo albums, a composer of TV and a short film, a coach, artist, inventor, and investigator who has dedicated more than 45 years to researching many global conspiracies. As a powerful frontliner influencer in what has been labeled conspirituality, Ole has given over 1,400 international interviews to millions of viewers and listeners around the world. His main focus has been to find out the truth about politically motivated assassinations of high-profile targets, plus the hundreds of alleged mass shootings and terror attacks around the world. Ole is now considered a world-leading expert on false flag operations. He has accurately predicted around 60 alleged terror attacks up to 2 months before they occurred, and in addition stopped several planned massacres. With so many years of deep research, Ole has become so good at what he does that his last name has now become a verb. To Dammegard or Dammegarding is nowadays a term for searching for hidden clues and predicting false flag operations. Ole spreads a message of courage and personal empowerment, imploring people to use this knowledge to liberate themselves from fear, deception, and control, and to shine the light of truth into the world. What a wrap.
There you go.
1,400 interviews. That's got to be some kind of record. I don't know too many other counts on other people, but you've been busy.
I've been busy. I tell you, somebody sent me the other day an email saying, are you aware that the Beatles gave about 320 hours of 320 interviews in total? So
Wow.
I think that it's just interesting because it's sort of like, I've really done my utmost, I tell you that. And this is like, sometimes people say, but I'm just asking anyone else, would you put in like 1,400 interviews? That's 2 hours each. That's like 2,800 hours. Have I ever been paid? Yes, I think 2 or 3 times, in total. What type of plumber would do that? What type of individual? Is it for fame and fortune? Good luck with that. It's the wrong career. So it's like, what is going on here? And this is where I feel that I've had this drive inside of me from a very early age that is just like, I cannot look away when somebody gets hurt. If it's children, animals, people, whatever it is, it's sort of like, I did once, I was with a friend of mine, if I can go there. Many years ago, I was like 18 and we were out partying one night, and there was this guy in the hometown where I lived that everybody feared because he was like brutal. He was a bad dude. He even broke the arm of a police officer. This was a guy that you fear. And this guy approached us and started, shoveling, like really trying to get us into and I turned away, left my friend alone. And thank God he did not get beaten up or killed or whatever. But afterwards, I was so ashamed of myself. I felt, fuck, this is not going to happen again. I'm not a brave individual. I mean, I don't like, that depends on how you define that, I must say. But I don't like confrontations. I don't like violence. I don't like it, like these type of situations. But it has to stop. And when you look on a global scale, on a local scale, on a national scale, on a global scale, it's the same thing that is being played out. And so who's going to do it? And for all of these years, I've been looking around, waiting for somebody to say, I'll take this one. You can just take a step back and relax. I haven't found them. So it's like, this is why I've been this one-man band for all of these years, just trying to say, hello. Something is coming down the horizon. It's like somebody is approaching here and it doesn't look too good. It looks a bit like a storm. Maybe you should close the window. No. And so for me, that I haven't given up, I don't understand it, but this is where it comes on a different level, because I think somewhere down the line, on a soul level, I signed some kind of contract that this is going to be my dharma, my path, because otherwise it makes zero sense to me, because I put this poor body's meat suit through all kinds of, it's been shot, hit, poisoned, you name it. For what? I'm still asking myself, why? I'm right in the process of exposing maybe the biggest thing ever. Who knows what's going to happen with that? And I'm like in the middle of it, it's like, why am I doing this? I don't get it. And yet there's something in my soul that just do it. Not like from a revenge point. I don't have revenge in me. I have very little anger. So it's more like a sadness driven kind of thing. Also I feel that in many cases, these real mass shootings or real massacres that has been carried out very rarely by the people that we have been told, but by other forces. But the real victims, and also including in these political assassinations, it's like their souls are calling out saying, come on, please, we need closure here, we need healing. Truth has to come out there, so please help us. I've even been, on locations where people have been at war zones and all kinds of stuff. And I'm not like a medium or anything like that, but it's like I can feel them calling me saying, help us get this sorted. Also for the healing of the families, for all of these, so many people have just disappeared, and the families are just like, nobody knows. And it's sort of like this tormented nightmare that never ends, But then when they finally find out, that was what happened, or this is what, they actually did, that on its own can be part of closure, because this is the healing and harmony, that's the only thing I'm looking for. But somebody has to go into the shadows and, with the light, into the belly of the beast, which is super scary. And this thing about courage, before I said I'm not brave, I take that back. I think I'm very brave, because courage is only needed when you're scared. And I tell you, I've been more scared than most people, I think, because these forces are brutal, brutal. And I mean, we lost dear friends around us, have been murdered. I've been moved country twice. I don't know how many death threats and stuff like that. So it comes with a price. I'm not complaining in any way or form. I've chosen this path. I even made T-shirts, Stop Whining, Start Shining. It's for myself
Love
as
that.
well, to remind myself also. But it has, for many years, been a very lonesome road. But now people say, oh, I'm the only one. They are like, oh, it's so horrible. Nobody understands me. Nobody sees it. I'm the only one. No, sorry. You're like in the millions right now that are in this process of saying like, hello, what on earth? Because some of us have been standing there for a long time, and most people have been too busy with their own desires and up their own butt, with like sports and pizza and partying, not caring about even their close neighbors, because they've just been so into I, me, mine. But now, this is one of the big thing or good things with the COVID thing, was when there was like a flamethrower put up the butt on most people, that suddenly it got personal. Suddenly it affected their life as well. And then, wait a second, maybe I should take a look, and see, how did we end up here? And so here we are now.
Here we are.
Yeah.
And I take my hat off to you, Ole, because, it's definitely the road less traveled. And yeah, when you start to learn about these things and the way that things are controlled, it can be quite dangerous when you start looking into these things and exposing them. And you've kind of alluded to some things that have happened, and I'm just like, whoa, like, I'm sure you've got stories on stories on stories. But I'd actually love to know what first piqued your interest into going down this road. Like, what was sort of the catalyst for you to start looking into these things?
I know the exact minute. I tell you that. It was in 1980, way back. And it was in the middle of the night. I was up visiting my sister in Stockholm, and they had just got satellite TV that was from 2 channels on into this unlimited type of, and even with a remote. So I was really so I was lying there, couldn't sleep. And I was just like, wow, check it out. I mean, all of this useless thing, just channel after channel after channel. It was amazing. And in the middle, 2:33 in the morning, they showed this documentary about the JFK assassination. And which is very interesting often, because the real interesting stuff, when it gets aired, it often gets aired midnight, in the middle of the night in different countries, so that they've never tried to hide it. It's out there. It's just that nobody saw it. But anyway, so that was the very first time when I saw the so-called Zapruder film, where you see where Kennedy is being hit in the head with the final headshot. And so this was the moment when I saw that. I mean, I'm not very clever, but it doesn't take a genius to say that something hit him in the head coming from the front and to the right. Otherwise, his head wouldn't have been thrown backward to the left. So, and then the official narrative said, no, the shooter was behind him, up 6 floors behind a tree, with a rifle, with a scope that was completely out of, shooting faster than any sharpshooter has ever fired these 3 shots in a row with that weapon. I'm like, what? So it took maybe on a total of 18 seconds to figure out, that is so not true. The official narrative, that is just not true. It's not true. And then it's taken me some 43 years to get a more or less, I think I've got a very good picture of what actually went down on a street level, not on the higher levels in this case, but I've identified more or less everybody on the ground. And I even interviewed multiple times the guy that fired that shot behind the picket fence, the thing that hit Kennedy, that blew his head off. So the thing was that got to me was I could see that it was a lie, but why was this lie being backed by all of these, acclaimed journalists and documentary this and documentary that and doctors and professors? Everybody was saying the same thing. I was like, I don't get it. I mean, it's so obviously, so there must be something wrong with me or them. And I couldn't understand, how could that be connected? I mean, how could this power structure back something? So I got confused. And that was the thing that got me started on this geek journey of mine into like unknown territory. I had no idea that it would get myself into where I am now. But I mean, I traveled to more than 50 countries. I've been touring in 16. I've been meeting, I'm now a close friend with many of the people in the center of the JFK assassination, like the girlfriend of Lee Harvey Oswald and the son of E. Howard Hunt, one of the CIA operatives that were part of mapping the whole or planning the whole assassination. I know one of the shooters. I know one of the pilots. Do you know, it's sort of, I've been a speaker in Dallas 3 times. So it's sort of like it's taken on a whole different life on its own. And the thing that I found, which is really weird, is that I've come to respect the people that were part of these operations, like soldiers, like they see themselves as soldiers, like the guy, James Files, that fired the shot. He was just a hired gun, you know, paid assassin. But the honor among these people in the mob, the honor is really high. And then you got these creeps in like nice suits with bodyguards and BMWs that stands up at these international gatherings and meetings and press conferences. And you're just like, holy crap, that is a slime ball if I've ever seen one. No, nothing of quality. And there's, you know, behind the scenes, ordering people like that to carry out these atrocities. I mean, it's not that I'm saying thank you so much for doing all this horror stuff for them. I say fuck that as well. But I'm saying it's really weird when monsters become like men of honor, because just like I was doing an interview with a guy that used to be in the Illuminati before. And so I asked him, in the position you were before, how did you see someone like myself? And he said, evil. I was like, that's interesting. That's interesting because, and I said, why evil? He said, because you tried to destroy everything we had built up. You were the exact opposite. That is what evil is in their eyes. And I say, that's interesting because I see you as whatever evil means, you know. So there's this opposite and the duality of reality. And this has done that I've sort of come to a point where I don't judge them because they believe in what they're doing. I think very few people wake up and think, I'm going to see here, maybe I can make a list of evil things that I'm going to do today before breakfast. I don't think many people do that. Even the ones that we label as absolute super ass fools and psychos, they think that they're doing the right thing, most of them. So it's like, yeah, I've just come to a point. Judge the sin, not the sinner, because the sins are horrendous and needs to be stopped, transcended, neutralized, whatever. And then on a spiritual level, I don't judge them because it's also through them that we are learning. It's only through them being such extreme as fools that many of us are waking up. I mean, we've been too comfortable and too uncaring for too long. You know, it's almost like life is saying, hello, I'm trying to show you something here. Most of us didn't react. Again, hello, no, hello, no, no, no. In the end, okay, so here's a baseball bat to your forehead. What about now? Smack like that. Now, suddenly people started sort of like, and now a lot of people have the nerve to start pointing at other people. I am awake. You don't understand. And I'm telling you, there was like just a year or so ago, you were one of the ones, complete brain dead individuals that were looking the other way. What happened? What gives you the right to sort of judge here? I don't think. So I think it's really important to look with compassion on people, not try to force anything down their throat or push anything on them. Just say, listen, we're on different paths here. Right now, I am on this one, and it's a hell of a road, like it's a roller coaster thing. So please bless me. I'll come back to you if I get out on the other side. If you're interested, I might have something to share with you. If not, bless you too, and on your road. This whole judgment thing and pointing, it's the wrong way to go, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah. What was it like meeting or talking to the guy that actually pulled the shot at JFK?
Actually, and I want to know, Ollie, how do you track those kinds of people down to speak to them? Like, I imagine they're not the easiest people to get in touch with.
Okay, so his name is James Files, and I heard of him the first time in 96 or 7 or something like that. And when I heard it, his story was really weird. It didn't fit into anything else that I understood. The JFK assassination, the reason why it's still a mystery in many ways is because it's multi-layered by design. There were several different teams on location. There were so many people there involved in different operations at the same time, compartmentalized. So everybody only knew their own part by design, once again. So it's a complete, like by design, that's how they make it's a masterpiece when you think of it, because we're still confused after so many years. When he appeared, I mean, he was from inside a high security prison, but stepped forward because it's a long story. And he would have been happy dying and taking this truth with him. It was only because a friend of his died because of this, and he stood up for the widow. They killed this man, Joe West was his name. And so James Files, the shooter, who is a man of honor, this is a monster. I mean, he was born into an assassination program in 1942. His mother signed up because she was poor in Alabama to be inseminated by some Aryan, like the perfect warrior type blonde, I'm sure, this German type looking thing. And then he was born out. He was born with an X. He officially died at birth. His birth certificate said dead at birth. And then he was born into this program. So from day one, he was taken care of by these doctors and scientists from Operation Paperclip that was pushed into the whole thing from Nazi Germany into changing the OSS into the CIA, and with these operations. It's the same Nazi mentality that was just transferred. We thought, it ended with the Second World War. Absolutely not. It was just transferred because that was the mindset behind the whole war on both sides. Anyway, so James Files never went to a normal school, nothing normal about him. He was taught from day one to kill. Like it started with animals, then kids, then teenagers, then up. And when he was 19, this is the way they do it, to numb them down, so that they're completely without feeling. Yeah, desensitized, also going through a lot of MK Ultra stuff. So when he was 19, he signed up. He was in Laos. He was part of the different operations there. Started becoming really good at killing people, with headshots and as a sniper as well. And then the CIA at that time recruited him from the program. He never understood that he was part of a program until much later. But anyway, so they recruited him, and at the same time, he was working for the Chicago mob as a driver and hitman for a guy called Chucky Nicoletti. And so his whole life has just been violence and death. For many years, he had a suitcase ready at all times, and he had a handler, David Atlee Phillips, who was the same handler as for Lee Harvey Oswald, the alleged shooter of JFK. They had the same handler, or controller, as it's also called. And so he had this suitcase, and at any time, every day he called in, and if David Atlee Phillips said, go to Hong Kong, there's a job waiting for you there, boom, he went there, he killed somebody. Go to East Germany, Berlin, he went there, killed them. South Africa, South America. So he's got about 1,000 kills in his name. To give you a picture of this dude that comes from extreme violence, and also from the mob, the Chicago mob, where, I mean, you say the wrong thing, dead. That's it, So, and whatever, if you do something wrong or you rat on someone like that, you get tortured to death. I mean, with the CIA, the mob is like kids play when you compare to the CIA. And the CIA is just another version of Mossad. They're very much like this. So it's like gets really complicated, but it's not really when you start looking into the structure. But anyway, so James Files, when he stood up in the mid-90s and started talking about this, it was like, holy shit. He's in a high security prison speaking openly about something that is so negative for himself, so dangerous. So either he's a complete loony or he's extremely brave for some reason. The thing was that he had met Jesus in his cell. Jesus came to him twice in his cell and said, listen, James, it's time for you to step up this game. The Lord needs you in a different way. He wasn't religious at all. I mean, he was just like chop, 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 like chopping up bodies and bury them and whatever, and suddenly Jesus appeared like, holy, whoa, who are you? And so Jesus came twice and said, listen, there's another reason for you to be here. And so that completely changed his life. And suddenly he started speaking the truth. And anyway, so I started hearing about him and I was like, that doesn't make any sense. The weapon he was talking about that he had used was a Remington Fireball. It's like a rifle, but with a pistol grip. So the barrel is only this long. With a pistol, it looks really weird. And like, it sounded like some James Bond type of weird story. And then I started really going into it, and every single thing he said, it didn't match up with other stories. But when I put it like this, it just fitted perfectly. So it wasn't that he had rehearsed what everybody else was saying. He had no clue about it. He knows nothing about the JFK assassination. The dude has no clue what went down. He knows about his shot. He knows, and he said for him, he couldn't care less. It was like taking out the garbage. He did not like JFK at all. He was honored to be asked because he worshipped the guy, Chucky Nicoletti, who was one of the other shooters. He absolutely adored that one. Very brutal, but elegant killer from the Chicago mob. So when he was asked to become a backup shooter just an hour or so before this whole thing happened, he said, I'll be honored to. And so he did. And the whole idea was that he should just make sure that Kennedy did not leave Dealey Plaza alive. So they were looking for headshots. So there were multiple shooters around the whole thing. He doesn't know about these shooters. I know 98% more about that assassination than he does. He has no clue except for his little part. So I started following him, and the more I listened to him over the years, I was just like, holy crap, he is actually being truthful. And then when I was invited to Dallas, I mean, I followed his path, every single step he took over there, the motel he stayed at, everything just matched up with what he was saying. And so I've been backing him for many years, him and also Judith Very Baker, Harvey Oswald's mistress, who has another story that is also not fitting until you start doing like that. And suddenly everything makes sense. Like this, it's just incredible. So anyway, so how was it for me to finally speak to him? Because the thing, I'd followed him. I had done many presentations around the world and talking about standing up for him and standing up for Lee Harvey Oswald with badge, because Lee Harvey Oswald actually tried to stop the assassination. He sacrificed his own life in an attempt to save Kennedy, and knowing that they were going to take him out. He really gave up his life. He was only 24 years old. And so I've been really standing up for these people like Lee Harvey Oswald, Judith Very Baker, and James Files. And anyway, so in 2016, Files was put away for 50 years or something like that for a thing that he didn't do. It's so funny.
Yeah.
I mean, He did 1,000 killings and then he's put away for something he didn't do.
Of course.
I mean, God has a sense of humor. But anyway, so in 2016, everybody thought he was going to die in prison. And then somebody contacted me on Facebook. He just popped up in my feed. And I saw the photos, and he's got very long hair, very distinct look. I was like, his name was David Armstrong. I was like, that's James Files. So I wrote in the comments, Jimmy, is that you? And I just got, yes. I mean, I was like, just happened. And so I started communicating with him on Facebook, and it turned out that he had just been released from prison. And so I asked him, because I thought, whoa, this could be like why did he contact me? You know, like just weird. So I started asking him things that only he could know about certain details, and he answered them, boom, boom. I thought, this is the real thing. So anyway, yeah, I just said, I'm here for you. I've been this and that. And then he made a donation of $100 to me. And I was like, I'm not really sure how to feel about this. You know, he's the guy who blew the head off a man that was trying to do good. And now he donates $100. I mean, I can't remember what we did with it, but I think we donated it to something or for some, did good with it, because for me, it was like, but anyway, he disappeared again. And then a few years later, I thought he was dead. They tried to take him up multiple times, but this is like Mission Impossible, but in real life. The dude was 76. There was just a few years ago, there were 4 assets that came heavily armed that grabbed him, took him into an abandoned building and was going to kill him, just to shut him up. Okay, 5 people went in there, James Files, 4 of these young dudes like this. 1 person came out, 76-year-old James Files, unarmed, and the other ones didn't survive. This guy can kill you with a credit card, with a piece of paper, with you name it. He is. But that is also why they kept him alive over all of these years, because they used him in so many different operations because he was so valuable. Anyway, so then I invited him. I set up like on Michael Jacobs' show. He's a former U.S. Navy SEAL. He was Navy SEAL Team 6, former CIA, all of that. And anyway, I've been like a regular guest on his show. And I set up so that James Files would be there, a man that has helped Files over the years. Jim Scott, a former trooper and helicopter pilot, whatever, and myself. So it was the 4 of us. And I tell you, that day I dressed up like it was New Year's Eve with a white shirt and like a silver whatever. Because for me, it was like when I introduced him and I said, I just want to say that this whole confusion thing for me, because the thing that happened in 63 was horrendous. I mean, an act of cowardness on a scale that, I mean, to shoot an unarmed man, if you like 14 different snipers, where's the courage? And what did it lead to? It was like global coup d'etat that has led to so many wars and atrocities. The power structure that took over that day, I mean, what they've done to the world is unbelievable, because it's the same one that has been behind 9/11 and all of the wars that follow, unjust wars, and the Vietnam War and the one in Laos and Cambodia and down in South America and Operation Condor and all of these things. It's the same one that took over that day. So the shots that were fired in Dealey Plaza was not just somebody that was being killed. It was a whole shift like that. So, but James Files was at one point, there were some FBI agents that had heard that he had some evidence that could be used. So they kidnapped him and stripped him, hung him up in chains, and tortured him to death. He never spoke a word. They left him as dead. They dropped him in at a garbage dump, with taped. He was naked, but taped together arms and hands, and just dumped the body among the garbage. So somebody found him there and saw that, holy shit. They called in to say, we found a dead one, a stiff one here. But it turned out that he was breathing. The thing is, for someone who can take that without giving somebody else up, for me, that is unbelievable. The scale of honor to stand up against that. So that's what I said to him, and that I was super mixed up inside, because one part of me is seeing a monster The other one is seeing somebody that I honor for the courage also to stand up and share this information up inside a high security prison where he is as vulnerable as it gets. Just imagine you're exposing the whole of the CIA, the George Bush Senior, all of these dudes from inside that prison where they can just like chop, 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 at any time and still do it. Holy, that takes some guts. So how was it to speak to him? I have very mixed feelings. It's like, it's amazing in one way. I even got a signed book here with his fingerprint and a message where he thanks me for what I've done for him. And at the same time, I see somebody that is completely desensitized to suffering. For him to just put a head into think not a problem, to whatever, and even make fun of it. I know that because I've been, over the years, I got to know former Black Ops, former assassins, former soldier of fortune. The way they laugh of things that I just like, that is weird. That is not fun. That is just weird.
It's a whole other world, isn't it? It's like for us, I think it's so hard to conceive of. I honestly, I didn't know that this stuff actually happened until I started listening to you speak about these things. I hadn't really heard anyone talk about these things before. And it's like you always say, it's like Mission Impossible. It's like the movies. And I think there's a very concerted effort to make us believe that the stuff we see in movies is only in the movies. And I think that's one of the biggest deceptions that there is, because this stuff actually happens.
Yep.
Yeah. Truth is stranger than fiction. That's something my mom always said growing up. And she also said, if you, what was it? If you don't believe anything you hear and only half of what you see. And I'm like, that's, I took that seriously. And now it's like, don't believe anything you hear and nothing of what you see. You have to be able to see with a different eye and follow the clues, if you want to uncover it. And sometimes they're just there. Sometimes it's like the act of looking, it's like they just shake themselves to the surface. Do you find that to be true?
Yeah, it's sort of like what I found over the years is that it's not mysterious. It's not difficult in many ways. We're up against an illusionist. We're up against like a magician type of thing that is just trying to deceive us into, like this. And the thing for me has been over the years is to okay, the truth is the truth. That's it. Something happened. If we look at an assassination or whatever, something seems to have happened. Okay, at least. So what I normally try to do when I was still able to go to Europe or wherever it happened, to get my butt over on location as soon as possible to see for myself, because it's one thing, you see it on a screen, you see Dealey Plaza and these places. Dealey Plaza looks humongous. You go there, it's like, holy crap, it's so small. It's like, it looks like it was like a shot of 300 foot. No, it's 88 feet. What the hell is, and then you start saying, wait a second, but what? And this is why I find it so valuable to go on location, because it's very often when I'm there, when you start looking up instead of looking down, and you start seeing, could it be a reason? Could there be a reason why they did it? What happened right outside this building? Or could it be that building or the tower over there? Or why is that this like one-way street? Could that easily be closed up there and there? Could that be the reason why? And then suddenly you see, oh, there are only offices in these buildings, meaning there will be no one at nighttime when the operation occurred instead of apartment. Do you see? So it's sort of like, so yeah, anyway, so step one, find out, did it actually happen? And many times what I found out that the official narrative, bullshit. My God, it's like not even close. It's like I've been around to cemeteries, trying to look for graves of alleged victims, alleged shooters, like gone to the high schools where they used the shooter went and this and that happened and oh my God. And then you go there and they're like, nope. So wait a second. I just read that he went to this high school. Yeah, he did. So have you got any records of him? No. How is that? How do you know that he was here? Well, I saw it in the newspaper, so he must have been here. And then, okay, you go to the police. Normally, I never approach the investigation. Never, ever I contact them, the official one, because they're the ones that are looking for people like me to shut up, because these investigations are put there to cover it up. That's standard procedure. So I never approach them, but hospitals and stuff like that. And then you find out, they never arrived here. They must have gone to another hospital or they never went there. And you go to cemeteries. Yes, there's like here, the graves are there. It happened like a week ago. How come the lawn is already like it looks like a football turf? It's been here for years. So it's like I go from Farmer Brown logic. Things has a 1 + 1 + 1, 1, 2, 3. That's 3. It's not 42. I don't care who tells me that this happened. It just didn't. It could not have happened the way you said it. Okay, so there's question number 1. If it couldn't happen from a normal point of view, then what happened? What happened? And why are these official individuals standing there saying absolute lies? Why are they pushing a lie? And that takes you to a whole different level of like, okay, fine. So somebody is playing with my mind. Why are they doing it? Because people don't do things without a reason. And then you start seeing, okay, problem, reaction, solution. What was the solution to this problem, whatever that was? And then you start seeing, hang on a second, the ones that are presenting the solution, maybe they knew what was going to happen. And then you look at the stock market and you see suddenly they've done all of these, like just before it happened, all of these stock options and made a bundle overnight. That's interesting. The very same people that was actually the ones warning about the problem there. And then you see the ones behind that. You look into the so-called problem and you find these were the ones that did it, the ones that presented the solution. So that means, thank you so much, that the people that present the solution will be often the ones behind the problem. So thank you for saving me a lot of time. I will just wait for the press conference or whoever steps forward and will offer me the solution. Forget about the crap, wait for it. And the solution is, and boom, there you go. There's one.
Yeah.
And then I start tracking them down and I see, oh my God, I recognize you from that one. I recognize you from Uvalde in Texas. I recognize you from Oklahoma. You were in Lahaina. You were in Montreal. You were in Sydney, Australia. And it's sort of like, so I call them the Global Tour of Terror. It's like a theater group that is traveling around in the world, just like Pink Floyd, performing the exact same crap operation here, there, and everywhere. Same script.
I'm glad you mentioned Sydney. Yeah, because we do want to get into the Bondi one recently, because that's just down the road from us here. And
well, not really. That's
Yeah.
about 8 hours from where we are. But I actually used to work in Bondi, and I actually used to work in the Bondi Westfield where the, stabbing, the so-called attack happened back in 2024, which is interesting that we've now had another attack in the same area, which I found very interesting. So for anyone, for our international listeners, there is quite a large Jewish population in Bondi and the eastern suburbs area of Sydney. It's not like America. We don't have a huge Jewish population here. This happened in a very popular area just by the beach. This one happened just very recently in December, 14th of December, 2025, so just before Christmas. And it was allegedly a shooting by a terrorist attack on the Jewish people. They were celebrating Hanukkah, about 1,000 people down at the beach. They killed 15 people, a man and his son. The man was shot dead. The son's now awaiting trial. And I mean, look, we've listened to you long enough, Ollie, that Isaac and I both we saw a video. The first thing we saw was some video online and it just looked like someone from an apartment or something filming it. And we just watched it, and Isaac and I straight away, we just started picking up on things like you could hear sirens, but the sirens didn't sound like they were coming from far away and coming closer. They just sounded like they were sitting there and just sirens were on, which I was like, that's weird. Like, why would cop cars just be sitting there with their sirens on? You could hear, like, it just was not moving. And then you could just see like this guy that supposedly came in and saved the day, but he was just doing really weird stuff, pulled the gun off the guy, but then went and put the gun on the ground. And then, and then however long after, these photos came out of the same man, the hero, taking selfies with blood all over his face and in the midst of saving the day, and just all this really weird stuff.
It turns out he works for Chabad or something. Like,
Yeah.
Can I interrupt you?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so when I heard about this one, my professional reaction right away was, oh, sorry. Yes, so I was traumatized by hearing about it. So I have not looked into it because it's sort of like bore me to tears. But what I can do, if you're up for it, let me play out a possible scenario, and you say tick box, tick box, tick box, tick box, if I'm correct. So like I said, I haven't looked into it, but you said 14th of December, right?
Yes.
Right.
Okay, so that is, they love to repeat these things, an anniversary thing. So that's the same date as the Sydney siege, which was another crap operation in Sydney. Yeah. That was on the 14th, if I do not remember wrong. And that was the global tour of terror where several of the crisis actors, oh, sorry, I'm so excited, were the same. And by the way, if you're in Australia, don't worry about terror attacks if you're anywhere else than Sydney, in that area, and also
Tasmania.
Tasmania.
No, that not Port Arthur, but Melbourne by the train station. It's the intersection by the train station. That's where terrorists do their stuff. Everything. It's recycling crap again, and again. So Robocops, whatever. If you want to see terror attacks, go there. The intersection by the train station or Sydney, in that area, which happened to be Jewish. I tell you, I don't know a lot about Jews. I'm not like or dislike. But I tell you, if these were Danes, that if I kept bumping into Danes the same amount of time that I bump into Jewish interest in these operations, there would be a global Danish conspiracy. I tell you that. It would be out of this world, the level of, it's like, so happened in Bondi Beach. Yeah. That is interesting. And so,
well, before you go on, Ollie, can I just quickly read? I just saw this on Wikipedia, just this one section of the way it's written. It tells you everything that they're doing, the agendas. So it says the Bondi shooting is the first fatal attack on Jews in Australia, the worst terrorist attack in Australia, and the deadliest mass shooting in Australia since 1996, which was the Port Arthur massacre. And we know what they did then. They took all of our guns away. Mass casualty attacks are uncommon.
They had people hand in the guns. I'll point that out.
That's right. Yes, that's right. And people volunteered.
A bunch of foolish knuckleheads handed in their guns.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm wearing my rifle hat today, because I'm a big proponent for freedom because I want it.
Yeah, well, and it just goes on to say the country, mass casualty attacks are uncommon in Australia. The country enacted strict gun laws in response to the 1996 Port Arthur massacre, in which 35 people were killed. And the same thing happened with this. Following the Bondi Beach shooting, the National Cabinet unanimously agreed to further restrict gun laws and introduce a gun buyback program.
Okay, that's standard. These things, the law things will be on standby. Everything has been prepared for months. And so when this happened, during the traumatic hours afterwards, when people are like blown away and so openly, oh my God, something needs to be done. Boom, 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 new laws. And thank you so much. That's how they do it. I want to say, if also the 14th of December was Sandy Hook, another absolute bullshit on steroids operation. I've been part of writing a book called Nobody Died at Sandy Hook. Which is like we're like 10 different experts that have one chapter each, and it's like 400 pages, something like that, where it's just like step by step by step, not a true word ever. I mean, the school had been closed for 3 years, the whole time. And you know, interesting enough, like I have footage of military in Sandy Hook chasing the shooter, and they speak Hebrew. Isn't that interesting? In Sandy Hook, the US speaking Hebrew. I'm like, okay, or are somebody really, really, really clumsy? But anyway, so that's an interesting for you. So Sandy Hook, same day, and then you have Hanukkah. I could have told you if it's connected to Hanukkah and it's Bondi Beach, then it will be what is called a false flag operation, where the attacked one is actually the attacker. It's a complete mindfuck. It's to justify whatever they're going to do, is because if they're attacked, they're the victims, and then whatever is done is justified. So for this to happen on that day, and especially against Jewish population, there would be connections to the October 7, which is another complete false flag operation to justify genocide on the Palestinians. It's not
that was
a conflict.
The one in Israel, right? With Gaza, the people on the
Yeah,
paragliders
exactly.
jumped the fence.
Yeah, okay. Really, come on. But anyway, so there would be crisis actors for sure that were there on October 7. I can guarantee you that the same people, if you look there, would be there, and they would be interviewed, most probably with like blood and bandages. What?
The guy?
What?
Yeah, the guy was there. The one of the survivors of October 7th or 6th was at Bondi.
Okay, so can you blame me for having problems really getting into it? So anyway, so if it happened, wherever it happened, there would be some kind, if you're going on Google Map, there would be some kind of like Freemasonic, maybe a pyramid-shaped lawn, an obelisk, something close by, so that when you go in and you have like these media helicopters flying over, there would be this hidden symbolism in that. So you say that there were the two shooters.
So the two shooters,
so
that
don't
was
say anything. Don't say anything. Okay, let me guess.
Oh, that's
here.
all right. Ollie's going to predict the whole thing. Get it right.
No. You just say me if I'm completely off. So two shooters. So right now they would be from, because of what's going on, I would point them towards Iran or the Middle East, that they had some connection to Iran, so that Iran could be blamed for this whole thing. And if it's a father and a son, they would look for sure like very Middle Eastern, dark with big eyebrows. But most of the time they look like former military guys, because they're not the real deal. So crew cut, a little bit overweight. Then the type of weapon would not, they've been going for the AR-15s for years, the semi-automatic. But now, after the alleged assassination of Charlie Kirk, that's another one for you, they moved it over so that it's no longer semi-automatic. They go for the old guns, like the ones that Granddad or from the Second World War, or the Mausers. And really? Yeah. Okay. So then there will always be a hero, like you mentioned, a hero. I tell you this dude, completely connected to Israel. He's not a local guy. There must be some connection to Israel. He will do something like so clumsily stupid, like jump. I mean, you will just be able to see that is not really happening. And no adrenaline. There's no adrenaline. Like if this happened, I mean, I've been to war zones. People, when you are freaked out, if you're on incoming fire, you act differently. There's this tension. And in these cases, it's like,
that's one of the first things I picked up on, Ollie, was in this video. That's what I was watching, and I was like, this is not real. If this was a real situation, this guy would not, he like literally grabbed the gun and then just like casually went and put it over by a tree and then walked. Like it was so not real. You would be so scared.
No. If I was the other guy, so there's a guy on the ground and one guy on the bridge who was shooting. The guy that wrestled the rifle heroically from the other guy and then set it down. Like if I was on the bridge, I would have shot him in like half a second and been done with it. Like it was so out in the open and dumb. Yeah.
I need to see this afterwards because, but anyway, so there would be no logic in who's filming it. It's sort of like who's filming, you never know. And when you start checking the angles, it's like, they must have been standing right out in the open up on that wall, but these people were apparently shooting at everything moving. So why are you so calm up there? Or helicopters that are just like right above it and they don't even notice them. Or so the direction they will fire is also very illogical many times when in these operations, because when you see, okay, the victim's said to be over there, but then the footage, they're shooting in the other direction. I mean, like, holy, what's going on? Anyway, so there will be also what I call the catwalk of death. There's somebody with a cell phone, mobile, that is just walking around among the dead and wounded like this, just walking, no empathy whatsoever, not trying to help or anything. They're just walking around and people are moaning and, oh, I'm shot in the leg. Oh, my arm, my arm. You don't see anything. You don't see the faces. It's like people from behind. So you can never identify who they are. And it's always blurry. I mean, how they can make blurry footage with cell phones nowadays, or you cannot.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
you cannot.
blurry. Yeah.
But it's always blurry. It's unbelievable. It's like an old, like VHS cassette of Austrian porn or something like that. Really, really not good. And then they will do CPR on some of the victims, which is, I've spoken to people, like in war zones and stuff, like if somebody is shot like with big holes in them, is pumping their chest a good idea? Like that, wouldn't that squirt like a ketchup bottle? Yes, they would kill them. Anyway, so interesting that they're always doing CPR, because that is a visual thing when you look at it, because you've got like all of this going on. And if you listen, I don't know about this one, but I've seen in many of the other ones, you will hear this when they do the CPR, because they're CPR dolls. They're even called...
It's a mannequin.
Oh my God.
No, not mannequin. They're for training, CPR training purpose.
Yeah.
And so that you can hear the sound. And I've asked doctors, listen to this sound. Is this a human body responding to CPR? And they say, no, it doesn't sound like that at all. You have no sound at all. Maybe if the ribs are cracked or something, but that's not human. And you will see that where the sound comes from, often it's only half a body. They're like this blanket covered, because the dolls are only half a body. So you will see only half the body. And then you will we have these global fear trigger symbols that are there to start this global fear trauma, to keep triggering it, like dung, dung, dung. They've used it all the way since from the alleged Holocaust, where the shoes has become a symbol of horrendous death and bloody trauma. And so they use these shoes, especially Nike shoes, where they leave them very often on photos close up to the camera. So the photographers, which always comes from Associated Press, Getty Images, or Reuters, that, these photos where the shoe is part of re-triggering the trauma, you don't even notice, because you're looking, oh my God, something happened, and the shoe trigger again, because it reminds you of so many other atrocities. So there will be shoes on the beach, maybe, or afterwards, that they make sort of like a monument of the shoes of the dead, or they collect the shoes as this memorial thing and put color-coded. It's always magenta, or if it's in the US, they got deep purple. If it's in Europe, or I think Australia has the same NATO type of thing, magenta color. So the magenta, there will be magenta flowers, magenta balloons, magenta clothing in the center, or even the crisis actors will have like magenta hair or something. The color code, very strong. When you look at articles about this whole thing, it would be like a way down, like maybe image number 6 or 7 or something down the line. That's where the color code is. Then in the headlines, there will be like terrorist shooting, blah, blah, blah. And the thing that is a lie will be with citation signs like that. So vicar chopped the head of baby, chopped the head off, would be like with it. It's like they're telling us, but we don't see it. We just see, oh my God, that's horrendous. No, they're telling, that's bullshit. This is not. So look for these ones. It's on the online news agencies. All of them use that. Then you will have, since I've pointing out these shoes. I and many other people started pointing out these shoes in hundreds and hundreds of interviews. So it started to become a joke. So many people are laughing instead of getting scared. So it's become this joke. If you look at the BBC official websites and stuff, when things come up, people are saying, oh my God, the shoes again. Oh my God. And it becomes like a joke. So it doesn't really work anymore. This is also how we can do in a non-violent, take the power away from them, by pulling the veil. So they made a transfer to try and find another trigger, but it has to be a neutral item so that we don't really notice. So they moved it over to bicycles. So a bicycle that is just lying down, that symbolizes something must have happened. If it's in the middle of a street, no, it's a bicycle. Somebody put a bicycle there, and baby cots. They went from that and baby cots. So let's go back to Bondi Beach here. So many times it's sort of like when the shooting occurs and somebody's filming it, somebody on a bicycle will just pass close to the one filming, like whoop. So it's just a bicycle. No, it triggers, boom, boom, boom. And among the people lying dead in the beach, there would be, there again, you said, what was it, 5,000 dead or something like that? Absolute bullshit. There would be no dead at all. And the 1,000 people you will see the footage, I bet you there will not be 1,000 people if you start counting them. There will be a handful because this is done in a different
I don't remember seeing any
way.
footage of anyone
they
dead.
said there were 1,000 people at this gathering, but the footage you see of the shooters running around and the hero coming in, like it doesn't look like anyone's on the beach. Like the whole place was just cleared out.
And that's what most probably was the thing. They had redirected the traffic. This most probably happened on another day or something that closed off the area. It would be a specific part of the beach that just happened to be closed off. You will see streetwise, I don't know the streets, but very often there's no road work here and a bus had broke down there or whatever. So the traffic right when this happened could not pass, meaning, and yep, stand by, and action. And there you go. Thank you so much. Let on the traffic again and get back to work.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Anyway, there would be
blanks. Do you see that often with blanks?
It's like, come on, there's no shots at all.
I know there's no ricochets. There's no.
Come on, we're talking bullshit. We're talking bullshit. It's also with sound effects added, like these sirens you're talking about. Very clever that you notice that. Because these are sound like things like wee, wee, wee. So you can hear there are these libraries with sounds where you can like use and add to films and stuff like that. You have the children laughter or whatever, and children screaming. You will hear some, whoop, I know that one. Whoop, I know that one. And I know that one. And the sirens comes from these libraries as well. So very well observed. These are the things, it's like it doesn't match up. That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. And so I want to go back just to there would be a baby cot also that has fallen over and maybe a child screaming. For sure, among the victims, very often nowadays they say, out of respect for the family, we're not going to show any pictures of the victims at all. So we're not going to publish any photos. And if anyone has filmed anything, please come to the police so we can confiscate it and shut you down. And if you show anything online, we will, chase your butt and shut you down big time. So we have nothing except what they serve to us. And then these heroes, I mean, come on. Like I said, I don't know what this dude looks like, but I can describe him. It was a man. Yes, of course it was a man.
Yeah.
Unusual at this time that the shooters weren't transgender, because that's the current trend.
Yeah.
But otherwise that they're transgender, because now they were going to hit Iran. That would be on the menu this time. So anyway, so the hero would be in his 50s, slightly overweight, military looking, crew cut. And he would have, did he get injured? Of course he got injured.
He got shot in the head. He got grazed.
And then took a selfie as soon as it happened.
Okay. But anyway, the bandages, for instance, if he was hit in the leg or in the arm or like shot in the head, normally, like if you're shot in the head, that's quite serious. But these people, they have like, did he have a bloody face?
Yeah.
Okay, so
very
the
bloody.
blood will be evenly distributed. Like the rest of us, if I'm cut here, there's no blood here. It will pour like that. No, it would be like this, because they're not very good at this whole thing. Because also it's a matter of the drama. And then they would have like one of these things, you know, like in the old Western movies, when whatever happened, they had a bandage around the head. That solved everything.
Yeah.
So, and this would be put on
Exactly.
by some amateur that had no clue. Same with like, if they're, you know, if something happens with their arm, when you check at the bandage, it's like, what the hell? I've asked like real medical personnel when I'm sitting like, because I really try to learn instead of judge. So I said, please, you who know what you're doing, could you please have a look at that? I don't never tell them what it is I'm showing. And they're like, what on earth? Well, that's a professional thing. He just got operated from a gunshot to the head. No, he did not. No. Okay, so I rest my case. And so let me see, can I add something to it? So it was Iran. So we had Israel, Iran. Okay, there has to be some connection with the US. So was there a delegation from the US, or was this hero sent to the US for a medal?
I don't
medical
know.
thing?
I saw most of that with the guy I saw on social media, because I'm just kind of looking through now. So with the shooters, it's funny because I'm literally looking at news stories while you're talking, and there's actually no photos from the day. There's no photos at all from the day. I was just looking at some of the victims. Like, so apparently a 10-year-old girl died, but they only use she was known by her family as Matilda. No full name. Her auntie's speaking for her. There's a name for her. There's names for the other ones. There were 2 rabbis. And the other interesting thing is that a lot of the people that died were rabbis and like these very prominent people, supposedly in the community. And then, but the shooters, their names are Sajid Akram.
Can I say?
Akram. Yeah.
No, I was going to say, if the names of the shooters, and they want to point it to the Middle East, it would be like some real Abdul Karim Karumkar, or something that it's not like James O'Leary or something like that. It would be something loaded towards the Middle East.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I mean. Without even saying what background they are, you can tell it's Sajid Akram and Naveed Akram. And I'm pretty sure on the news, it's so funny because we never watch the news, the TV, but we're in Sydney at the time with family and they've always got it on. And so I was actually hearing some of the stuff that was on the news, and I'm pretty sure on the news they were saying by 2 Muslim men, because that's the whole thing, is the Muslims and the Jews and this whole thing. He appeared in a Sydney court as a senior magistrate, extended existing suppression orders in the case. So they're also suppressing. So they've just got a sketch of him in court, no photos.
Yeah.
So
how convenient is that?
Yeah, yeah.
So Matilda, I found that an interesting name, because if they have, like when they go emotional, it's always women and children. And especially if it's a little girl, then often the name is charged. You have charged names around the perpetrator. Matilda, I would not be surprised if there's something in the following weeks after this whole operation where the name Matilda will be used, that the photos of this child will be used for stand up, against humanity, but they will always be forgive. While they're doing that, I think it's so that we will not get too pissed off, because they're trying to cover their own butts, so it's always like, I, the mother of this child, forgives the shooters. It is amazing of what I am doing. So they're trying to inspire us not to get into too much of anger mode, because they know if once we find out that they were the ones doing it, not a good situation for them.
Yeah, well, it's very interesting.
Did I tick any of the boxes?
Pretty much. I really want to go back.
Ticked.
I really want to go back to the video on because I've seen, like I said, most of the stuff, videos and things I've seen are on Instagram, not in news stories. And I'm thinking back to that video, and I actually think there might have been a bicycle Like
I tell
somewhere
you,
in that where he's putting the
I think there was.
gun. Yeah, I think there was a bicycle in that shot somewhere.
There will be one, I guarantee you. The
Mm.
the baby cot, there will be sounds from babies in the background. I'm telling you, because it's like I've seen the movie before, like 1,000
Yeah.
times. So what
Yeah.
else is new?
You know what I found interesting about the footage that they showed was they had this stopping point. Every time they'd pan this way, they'd see the shooters. They'd pan this way, see the other shooter on the ground, and then the wrestling of the rifle. But they never went and panned this way to show who they were actually shooting.
Because it didn't look like they were
just
shooting
stopped
at
right
anyone.
here
You just
every time.
see them holding the guns. Like it didn't look like they were shooting at anyone.
Yeah, and they had it was obviously that they were military trained, like the way that they held the rifles. And yeah, they weren't just a couple of weekend shooters or whatever.
But Isaac, now we are at a time where AI, I mean, go watch the latest, what's the name of Avatar movie and stuff like that. It's just like mind blowing what they can do visually now. And with the apps and with AI and TikTok, and we can swap faces and make our own clones and whatever.
Yeah.
So we're at this point where at least I'm taking a step back because I know that I can't trust anything of anything. Is that really Trump, either of them? Or is that, Hillary, one of the four? I don't know what is what,
Yeah.
So when something is made really, really, really clumsy, you have to ask yourself, why? Because like a perfect CIA operation is an operation where we don't even know that happened. They went in, they did their stuff, they went out, we didn't even see it. That's a perfect CIA operation, according to themselves. So here we are with absolute amateurs that is just like, come on. So this is where I was informed many years ago that they actually show us, through clues, hidden clues about upcoming attacks, but also show us in different ways, even subtle ways, that the real truth. So that the reason for that is because they're very scared of the law of karma. What they do comes back to you. What you do comes back to you. And so the way they see it is that even if they tell us in subtle ways what they're up to, if we don't react, then the bad karma will be on our shoulders, not theirs. So in a situation like this, when it's like so bad, you have to ask yourself, either they're extremely arrogant and just think like, well, they're useless eaters, they won't get it anyway. Option one. Two, they're really not good at it and they don't know better. Option three, they're very aware of it and they're doing it on purpose. I don't know what is the real thing. The thing is, for us normal individuals, is for us to just disconnect and just say, listen, I call bullshit. I'm not even going to look at it. It's ridiculous. It's like, it's not even worth discussing. Okay, we have shows like this, but otherwise than that, oh my God. And then instead, look who did it. What was the purpose? The purpose was to get these laws in place. That was the whole point of it, and to keep doing the strategy of tension, random violence on population, so that we will accept more and more control, more and more surveillance, more and more robocops and this whole thing. Nothing new at all. So that is what we should focus on. When these things happen, don't buy into it. Just take a step back and just say, whoa, before I get scared, before I go into like, oh my God, I'm just going to breathe, go for a walk, hug a cat, hug a cop, whatever works for you, and just calm down and then come back and listen. Okay, let me just check it out again. But I need to check it out now, because these things, you're talking about going back and look at videos that was there like a few weeks ago or a month ago, they're gone. I can guarantee you most of them are gone. Because there's this like digital book burning going on all the time. This is why I've got one of the world's biggest research vaults that I have for sale. It's my whole life, it's like 8 terabytes of perfectly organized. It's like hundreds of thousands of videos and documents and secret this and secret that and whatever. please go to my website, lightonconspiracies.com, plural, lightonconspiracies.com, and help me preserve this for generations to come, because history, real history, it's out the window. People that grow up now have no idea. No idea.
Yeah, you mentioned the Holocaust earlier, and that one, man, that gets some people up in a rile, like not so much in our circles, but it's just the more you look at it with a lot of these things, the more obvious some of them are. It's like they were telling us, I don't remember exactly. I didn't pay attention too much in school, like at the Holocaust and all that stuff. But we in America had this textbook company called McGraw-Hill, which just so happens to be, I think it was run by or owned by Ghislaine Maxwell, who was the handler for all the girls for Epstein.
Oh, by her family or her dad or whatever. Yeah.
Her dad like owned it or ran it or something. McGraw-Hill was the one for the Holocaust that put out all these stories about how they made lampshades out of them, out of the Jews, and they turned them into soap and like all these things. And at this point, it's after the Epstein stuff, it's like, for me, you know, for others that aren't quite there yet, like if they're still catching up, it's like all that stuff, all those history books, all the McGraw-Hill stuff, it's all burnt. Like it's literally made by the most disgusting humans on earth that I can imagine. And that was what was our basic education in public schools for generations of kids.
I tell you, I've been to several of these alleged death camps. I've been to Auschwitz, to Dachau, to Sachsenhausen. I've been to many of these battlefields from the First and Second World War, and many of these atrocities happened. I completely bought into it. I thought I knew history. I mean, I was really, very devoted into it, to learning as much as possible. Also, not to repeat history, So I was completely believing the Holocaust, the official narrative. My granddad was even in jail in Denmark during the Second World War for helping Jews to Sweden. So my family was invested in the resistance movement in the Second World War against the Nazis and so on. So I had no personal interest of finding out anything except for the official narrative that sometimes didn't make a lot of sense, because there were these weird things where it's just like, okay, so Hitler had the Allies at Dunkirk and he could just completely crushed it and ended the war. And suddenly he just stopped and said, no, please leave, please leave, please leave. And then when everybody had left, then suddenly Hitler said, yes, let's go for it. Like, whoop, these type of things it doesn't make any sense. So I've started looking into a lot of these things over the years. And the more I looked into it, it's like, oh my God. I mean, really? And they say that, it doesn't really matter so much what happens on a battlefield. It's what is written afterwards, and who published the books about these things, From an American point of view, how many books about the native Indians' history has been made by Americans? Like from battlefields and so on? None at all. We just heard, well, Geronimo was this monster and he scalped all of these people. It's like a one-sided from the one who won. We never hear from the loser's side of it. So when it comes to the Holocaust, I tell you, that one is the ultimate bomb if you want to self-destruct. That one, you hit that one. Nowadays, this bomb is getting softer and softer. I've done one interview some years ago. It's called Making Critical Thinking Illegal. Making Critical Thinking Illegal. Go to lightonconspiracies.com. That's my radio voice. And look at most watched videos. One of them is called Making Critical Thinking Illegal. It is about the Holocaust. What I do, I spent a lot of time looking into this from a logistic point of view. Is it possible? I think that is a fair question. Is
they don't like
it
that
possible?
Question.
So in that, it's like 2.5 hours where I just go step by step by step by step by step. I go through the whole thing, gas chambers and chimneys and number of deaths here and number of this and number of that and the logistics and what does it take to burn a body? How can you bury so many bodies? There's not a true word anywhere. Anywhere. And now, because of people, historians that have really dug into this and put themselves on the line, I was scared when I did my interview because I thought, holy crap, who knows what's this going to end up like? And I managed to get out on the other side. But I'm very proud of that interview because, I mean, you check it. If anyone can argue with what I present, bring it on. Because nowadays, if you go to Auschwitz, for instance, they've taken away the signs, gas chambers, they've taken away all of these things that are pointing towards the official narrative because they've found out that, holy shit, these lies don't hold anymore. You know, we can't pull it off anymore. We need to regroup here. The number from 6 million that they kept bombarding us with since 1908, I think, was the first time they started with the 6 million. Like, that is sort of like way ahead of time. But anyway, the 6 millions are now down to, I think the official number is 148,000 or something like that. And most of them died of malnutrition and typhus.
Wow.
So from 6 million, that is quite a gap. I would say quite a gap. And then you start looking at the death camps and no, really, like these chimneys, they're not even connected. They're just built right on the ground, not even connected to the death chambers. You have these where there was supposed to be gas. You look at the doors, they're like leaking. You know, you can just, air is going in and out. This is a dead Cyclone B gas. It's so deadly. No, it was de-lysing. Okay, and it made the walls very, very blue from this Cyclone B. So was it where these, where the shower rooms, where all of them were dead, killed by this? No, not at all. It was in these buildings over there. They're still blue. The walls are still blue where they were de-lysed. The where all of these people were killed, the doors open outwards. Do you see? It's like they're glass windows. I mean, okay, so don't you think that people would try to get out? I mean, like, or if you drop like this really deadly gas, don't you think that would affect the guards outside that was holding the doors, trying to stop them from getting out? It makes no sense whatsoever. The number of deaths, okay, burn the bodies, that on its own. I've checked out a lot of these crematories. Is that what you say in English?
Crematorium, yeah.
Crematorium, where you burn bodies. Okay, so you got modern day crematories where you got the high efficient, like energy saving, but high efficient, like burn the shit out of whatever is in there. And you time it. So a body, this one, is made of a lot of fluid. It is not like dry firewood. It is fluid, and not easy to set on fire. So it takes time and a lot of energy and a lot. Okay, fine. So you start calculating with today's number, this efficiency, not the old ones that was sort of like ridiculous compared to it. And the timing is like you burn all of these hundreds of thousands of bodies, they would still be going on. Yeah, but no. So the official narrative changed. So no, they put 3 bodies on top of each other was the story for a while there to get the numbers up there. You can't fit them in there. I measured. You cannot. It's one body. These were working camps. This was the thing. And also they're telling us that Germans of all organized people, have you ever met any people that are more like systematic, organized, efficient like that? There's not even a hand note about the whole termination of all of these 6 million people. There's not even a handwriting saying, yeah, let's do it. I've got 2 over here and 14 over there. No, nothing. Sorry. All of this whole thing came after the end of the Second World War. When at the meeting at Yalta, when Roosevelt and Stalin and Churchill met up and said, how the hell are we going to blame this on one person only and get away with it and also prepare for the Cold War? Let's make everything on Hitler and the Germans. So sorry about Stalin. I mean, we're talking 20 million deaths under Stalin's. Yet 20 million. No, he goes free. Don't worry about that, Joseph. You're fine. And the Brits, no. I mean, did they ever do anything wrong? No. Hail Satan or anything? No, not at all. And what about the Americans? No, they were jolly good fellows drinking Coca-Cola and just freeing the world. Otherwise than that, no atrocity. All the Germans, let's just hang them. What just happened? And then when you start with these stories, also, I love the stories. And when you really start listening, I mean, there are thousands of hours of testimonials from these death camps, concentration camps. They were work camps. They took prisoners. They were at war. And what they did was they worked as slaves for them. Fair enough. But many of them treated very well. Auschwitz had their own theater, their own dancing ground, a swimming pool, all of these type of things, because the Germans thought, let's keep them as happy as possible because they work better. We don't have problems with uprisings. Keep them well fed and happy. Then the Allies came in, bombed the shit out of the railways, firebombed all of these cities. And also, so these death camps were left without any food or anything like that, meaning starvation occurred and typhus and all of these things happened, thanks to the Allies. I'm sorry, but I can go on and on and on.
Yeah, it's interesting. And actually, something I learned recently, which I'm not a history buff by any means. I hated history at school, never paid attention. But we were listening to a podcast recently and someone mentioned that 25 million Russians died during World War II. Now, even if it were true that 6 million Jews died in World War II, I'm like, why, if 25 million Russians died, why didn't we hear about that ever since until the end of time?
That's
you know what I mean?
said.
Like, it's like, even if the narrative is true, which there's so much evidence to say that it's not, why have we never heard the end of the Holocaust, literally, since it happened? There's always an agenda.
And there, in that question, lies the whole thing. That is the whole thing. Why are we so focused? I've never heard 25. As far as I know, it's 20 million. That's still very many people. So how come that this monster of the world is not Joseph Stalin? How come that is Adolf Hitler? And the more you learn about Adolf Hitler, I mean, people loved him. I'm like, what? He was a monster. I've been down in Germany. I've been speaking to old Germans, and they adored him because of what he was doing for the German people. I haven't spoken to, but I'm in contact with the daughter of one of the staff members in the house where Hitler survived the Second World War and lived down in South America for many, many years. I've been in direct contact with this woman who was the daughter of one of the staff there. They said he was a soft-spoken, quiet, very gentle man like that. It doesn't match up at all. And then I just want to go back to the alleged Holocaust, because like all of these stories that we hear, when you look at who is telling them, you will see, okay, it's actually just a handful of people repeating the same story, and the stories keep changing. Okay.
Yeah.
And it turns out that the people telling these stories are related. They're in the same family realm, that with all of these horrendous stories. And you hear these things like, okay, so they took these, there was 2,000 bodies, and they dug this big hole, and all of the bodies were there, they were blue and whatever. And then they took one torch and they threw it in, and all of the bodies just like that. And there was this massive big fire. I tell you, really, really, try to start a normal fire with, just drive. If it has been raining or something, you have a mountain of bodies. I mean, good luck with that. Maybe you can burn an eyebrow or some hair if you're lucky. Otherwise than that, you need a lot of energy here. You've got Treblinka. There was one death camp there. Okay, so what killed them? It was this big engine and the exhaust from the engine. That was the thing that killed them. Just like these trucks where they took handicapped people and all kinds. They put them in the trucks and they had these hoses in and they killed them. Okay, I tell you, had that been gasoline, engine, but a diesel engine cannot kill. The exhaust from a diesel engine is not deadly. Peugeot, the car brand Peugeot, even had a commercial, this guy trying to kill himself, And he had this car, and he
Really?
was sitting there, reeving the engine, and he was still like, fuck this. What the hell? I can't.
Yeah.
And they get out, and there was this whole thing, Peugeot, too good to kill you, or something like that.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
With-
What
from
a
a
morbid
diesel-
ad.
No, but from a diesel engine,
Yeah.
you can get super sick, but you cannot get killed. Here I am back to Farmer Brown logic. So here, what is that? If the source of mass death in Treblinka was that engine, and it's a diesel engine that cannot kill you, I see a problem here with the official narrative. Do you see what? And it just, when it adds up and adds up and adds up and do you know what I'm getting at? And adds up and adds up. And in the end, you're just sitting with like, that's a lot of lies. And many of the people that were in the camps, they believe it as well. The neighbors around these death camps had no idea, and then the story came out, broke, and they were like, oh my God. And the nation of Germany had this guilt thing put on top of their poor shoulders for all of these generations. I mean, several generations now. I mean, you can't meet a German even today. You hear the German accent, oh yeah, Sieg Heil, you don't like Jews, do you? The whole thing, they're carrying this thing, and it's built on absolute bullshit. The reason why this is important really is not so much about maybe what happened, but it's how it's being used to shut us up. Because like Voltaire said many hundred years ago, he said, if you want to find out who controls you, find out who you're not allowed to criticize. Okay, so can I say horrible things about Muslims? Go for it. Go for it. You can call them whatever. Can I say that about Danes? Go for it. Can I say that about Native Indians? Go for it. Aboriginal, but go for it. There's only one group in the world, if you dare, and that's back to Bondi Beach. Bullshit, 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 bullshit.
Yeah.
I know. Bullshit mountain.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was going to bring it back to is when this happened. So we actually know someone who's a public figure, who's on a podcast, and whenever something like this happens, his first go-to is like, oh, everyone thinks it's just a conspiracy. And like, mind you, this guy is like, quote unquote awake, and oh, everyone just thinks it's a conspiracy. We need to get past all that. Not everything is a false flag. And I'm like, actually, the more you look into false flags, almost all of these things that are in the public sphere and on the news and in the news cycle for, a week after it happens, and that's all you hear about, that's exactly what false flags are. And what it brought so many people back to talking about again was what's going on in Israel and the Jewish and the Palestinians. And like a lot of them had a message of love to share and talk about, and that's all great. But again, it's like people aren't seeing the forest for the trees, or forest through the trees. I never get that saying right. But it's like, where is your energy actually being directed to in the wake of this event? And that's what people are missing the point, because then they get all caught up in, oh, this is just there's so much hatred in the world, and there's just this and that, and we need to be more, and we do need to be more compassionate. I'm not saying that we don't, but we need to be looking at these events that are happening, that are splashed across the news and all over social media, and just you're bombarded with it, and just take a step back and just say, okay, why? What's going on here? Because, and like you said too, Ollie, it's always about what happens after. Because again, oh, we need tighter gun control. Oh, we need freedom of speech. There's something else they did with the freedom of speech laws. And
yeah, you're not allowed to criticize Israel. They were actually violently putting down protests against the president of Israel, who was in Sydney recently.
Oh, yeah.
They were shoving protesters. There was Muslims just out there peacefully praying in the street, which is still, kind of weird. Like, you don't need to pray in the street. But like, they were like picking them up and physically shoving them, like getting really violent. And I was like, this is insane. You don't have the right to assemble or protest in Australia. It's very different than the US.
Yeah.
In the US, you can, you can burn down Minneapolis if you want, and the cops will do, fuck all to stop you if it's a racial thing.
Mm.
So here it's like, you're not allowed to even protest someone who's openly committing a genocide right now. Like, they're all still like, oh, you can't criticize Israel, but because we're victims from, how much
50 years ago,
60 years ago,
whatever. Yeah.
And that to me is like, it's like a weird, like dominance, fetish over people. It's like, it's just sick. It really is. But I encourage people not to just riot and, protest all that stuff. It's really about your behavior, your mindset, what you'll tolerate in your communities. And I want to hear more about your path forward, because we mentioned off camera before, you've got a retreat coming up, and I like the title of it, or the website you have up. It says, don't just watch true crime, master the art of truth.
Love that.
And that really resonates. So tell us more about this retreat you got coming up.
Ole, it sounds fascinating.
Join me. Okay, so the thing is that, like I said, I've been a one-man band for many years, and I've been touring on my own, on donation many years. I've really done. And then I was informed about a year ago from Sweden, a lawyer in Sweden, that if I return to Sweden, I'm not even Swedish, but I grew up there. If I return, I might be facing up to 18 years in prison, plus 4 for criticizing NATO. And the 18 years in prison is because they changed the constitution of Sweden. I mean, how on earth? They changed the constitution of Sweden so that now there's this mushy-mashy, grayish, like this, where the law says that espionage and criticism of the state, mental illness, and conspiracy theorists are in one, like this. So that,
my God.
Yeah. And so also the 4 extra years that I might face is for criticizing NATO. And it's not for what I'm doing now, it's for also looking back. So, I mean, I've been doing a lot. So, I mean, yeah, I'm going to stay away from Sweden for a while until this, this madness passes. Until then, I'm super happy in Bali. But it's sort of like, okay, I've been given a peace prize. I've been adopted by the Apache Nations. For me, that means a lot. Have I done anything different to deserve 18 years in prison in Sweden? If that doesn't show you that something is very bizarre, how can that, for the same action, welcome to the inverted world? It has been inverted by very dark satanic forces that is trying to invert your reality into thinking that what they say is good. When you look at it, it's actually really, really bad. And if they say something is bad, like this individual, maybe reconsider and check it out. So every time they try to ban something, I really look into it, because like, whoa, I didn't know that cinema was that good for you, or whatever it is they're trying to ban. It's always something really good. Anyway, so I thought, okay, I can't go there. Why don't you come to me? Because I'm also in this, I think it's one of the most wonderful places on the earth, called Bali. And it's called the Island of the Gods for a reason. It is a really, 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 the gentleness of the people, the nature here, it's just mind-blowingly beautiful if you avoid the tourist areas, but otherwise than that. So my sweetheart Kim and I we decided to do it in a place that it's the best of the best that we know of, in a place called Cinnamon. It is 5-star, not from Western ways of seeing it, but 5-star when it comes to authenticity of Bali. It is stunningly beautiful. It's in a valley like this with a volcano in the background, a river down below, fantastic food. The people working there, oh my God. Mama Ati, who runs it, oh my God. A priestess that it is just, if you want to get spoiled by amazing people, there you go. So that's where we chose to do it. And then I'm going to have one from the 1st to the 8th of April in Swedish for Scandinavians, and then from the 18th to the 25th of April 2026 for English speaking. Whoever, please come. And so for 7 days, it's going to be intense and really fun and really relaxed and very life-changing, and a way to meet new light-minded friends from all over the world. Light-minded friends because so many people are feeling so alone and isolated and criticized and shut up and shut down around the world, and here is a way to connect with your real tribe. Many people are coming on their own. Most of them are women that are coming here. So for one week, it's going to be like true crime to decode these operations. I mean, I've spent 45 years. If I was a surfer, I would be pretty good at surfing. So if you want to learn about surfers in this area, I'm pretty good at it. And I have a track record it's like, I think it's 77 of these operations I predicted up to 2 months before they happen. Hello.
Wow.
What is that? It's only knowing how they work. That's it. It doesn't take a genius. It's like becoming a master chef. Learn the ingredients, learn the recipes. Boom, I can do it myself. And then suddenly you're part of the solution, not the problem. When you see through this bullshit and you start laughing instead of getting scared and say, thank you so much for trying to offer me all kinds of horrendous slavery options like that. Thank you so much. So kind of you. This is what you can get from me. I will now go and kick back and have a cold beer, live my life in freedom and my own power, sovereignty. Boom. That's it. Okay. So for 7 days, I'm going to take you on an education to become a Dammeggardian. So many people have made fun with my name. So let's make another one. So to become a Dammeggardian, that is a guardian of truth and transparency. I think truth and transparency, including myself and whatever it is the way out. Whatever crap is there, pull the curtain, see it, heal it, accept it, and let it go. It's in the cover, in the conspiracy piles of shit that is just piled upon piled upon piled. That is where this evil fester and just grows. Transparent, pull the curtain, and boom, amazing things happen. So also what I do has been labeled conspirituality, because it's sort of like, and I've been really confused myself, because when I looked in my bookshelf, it's like all kinds of spirituality, this and that, and yoga and Raj yoga, and then serial killers and mass murders, and nothing in between. And I'm like, am I schizophrenic or what the hell? But it's sort of like how to understand this duality. I think that is why I've been looking at both extremes and trying to figure it out. Still confused, but on a higher level. But anyway, so during this week, it's going to be like an education. So people are going to get a certificate at the end as certified Dammeggardians. I really hope that this will spread, because the thing is that if people do not leave feeling transformed, I have completely failed. I'm not talking about what this meat suit can do. I'm talking about to be among like-minded people, to be in the settings like that, with that type of food, with that type of people, with that type of energy, these beautiful ceremonies that they're going to do with us also, and stuff like that. And also add truth and transparency, vulnerability, compassion, forgiveness in all of this mixture. If you do not feel transformed after 1 week and leave filled with like, my God, I am back in balance, in my power. I am in love with life. I'm in love with all of you. I am going to make a change now, not through violence, but in my own power. I am going to be part of creating a fantastic future. That individual that then leaves and comes back to their homes where they've been so judged and misunderstood and in conflicts with friends and spouses and whatever, all of us go through the same thing. When you start living your truth in love and compassion, the ripple effects are much more powerful than a rifle, I tell you. So all of these people that goes to many different countries and start like that. That is the intention. And like I said, I'm going to be there. I'm going to be the first one in the morning at dawn. I'm going to be the last one that goes to bed. And 7 days like that, people pay for their own flights. When they get to the place, it's called Cinnamon. Once they're there, they're in my warm hug. Then for 7 days, I hope they will be feeling that we've taken super care of them. After 7 days, we're going to say goodbye with tears and hugs, and I'm going to crash for about a week and sleep nonstop for the next group to take. But while I'm there, I'm going to be there. And also so that everybody that comes that is maybe heavy with burdens and questions and guilt and not understanding will hopefully feel liberated and in the center. So people say, but is this really the right time now? There's so much going on in the world and it's so unstable and I don't know. Isn't this the time to do it? Isn't this the time, the critical time where you really need to get like whoop and really take the power back, pull the curtain and say, okay, now I see it. I actually see it. So this scary world, when I look upon it, it's not scary at all. There's just this tiny little group of absolute assholes that have somehow, we've let them get into these power positions and I'm not up for it anymore. So I'm going to transcend it. I'm just going to, this revolution, I don't like the word revolution because it just means go round and round and round. Many people think it needs to be a violent thing. I really hope that that is not true, because the way that this has been can continue is because we're following along. We're doing it to ourselves. We're the ones in uniform doing it to other people. We're the ones keeping the other ones down by gossip and whatever, you know, behind their backs and guilt and whatever, instead of saying, holy moly, we're like billions. Let me just check the numbers of the other guys. What? Maximum a few thousand, maybe a lot less, maybe like a handful. Billions, a handful. Come on, this is a joke. Am I supposed to be scared? Absolutely not. And the only thing they have against us is fear. And when you look at fear, what is fear? It's only in the mind and only connected to something that has not yet happened. It's always something you're afraid of something. What if? Well, what if something beautiful is going to happen? The fear is not needed. It's just there they are using it as a weapon against us. So the thing is, deal with it, and it's in your head, which is a perfect place to deal with it because it's sort of limited, and you're the one in charge if you start mastering your mind instead of it riding you as like a rodeo horse. Anyway, come join me. I would love to, and we got some offers also, like bring a friend and get another this and that, and there's an affiliate link for you here.
So, yeah. Oh, I'm sold, Ole. Like, I want to be there. I'm so sold. Like, you sold me when you just were talking about the place that you're having it at. I was like, oh, yeah. It sounds like.
I'm already wheels are turning. I'm like, how do I get there? Like, maybe we'll stop there before we go to the States or something.
Please, please, please come. Bring friends. I tell you, one of the things we're going to do one morning, Mama Ati has this every morning with her staff. She's like this Balinese priest, and they have this morning ritual or ceremony where it's like with flowers, with holy water, with incense, and some other stuff. And what they do is they greet the day, they go through with the different flowers, you have different prayers, and like all of it is based on gratitude. All of it. There's no religion, it's not religious, there are no rules, there's no books. It is about gratitude. Gratitude for your ancestors, gratitude for the earth, gratitude for the flowers, gratitude for your friends, and so when you start your day like that, for me, it's just like, this is so beautiful. I mean, this is like the third world, really? I mean, who are we to look down at these people? Mm-hmm. I would say we could learn a lot from them, because the way they deal with death here, it's the way they never complain. I mean, it's like they blow my mind sometimes. They're really, really the most gentle people that I've come across. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful.
Yeah, it's a beautiful place. Isaac's never been to Bali or Indonesia or Southeast Asia at all because it's so far from the States. But for us, it's like, for Australians, it's just like flying to Mexico for them. Yeah, it's anyone that goes to Bali knows exactly what you're talking about, because the people are like that. They're just always so lovely, so happy, so accommodating. I think we definitely got a lot to learn from them, and the retreat sounds incredible. I mean, I want to bring that to Australia. Would you be willing to bring the retreat as far as here?
I would love to, but I don't feel safe going to Australia. It's all the NATO countries. You know,
Yeah.
this is the only, I would love it, love it, love it. But it's like airports, not my favorite
Yeah.
pastime at this point. You know, it's so easy when I cross borders, that's where I'm vulnerable the most.
Mm-hmm.
So, but otherwise, I mean, my God, let's just change the world. Boom, I'm there.
Yeah. Don't worry. We got a special ops trained ex-military guy here. Maybe we can sneak you in somehow.
Oh. You need better cover than I can give you. I'm way out of practice. I was I did some medical training in that side of the world too, or in the special operations side, and I want to share like more of that with people. Partly just to keep in like practice with it, because I don't know, it's useful. But I've only really used my medical training, I mean, a few times on people, but on animals. I've sewn dogs up. I've helped horses survive getting colic and like all this stuff. I'm like, I can just help
That's
people with their
amazing.
animals. Yeah. Yeah. But it's, it's a good skill. Like I want to salvage what I can. It's not all for nothing. You know, I used to think the turbans and the bad men was the beards and the sand people. They brainwashed us in this, movies and TV and all that. But
and now
nonsense.
And then he found someone who's half Middle Eastern. I have Middle Eastern lineage, and so he's totally over that now.
Yeah, they probably put me on a list or something since I've been over here, so it's fine. I'll find out someday.
Well, thank you so much for coming on, Ole. It's been an absolute honor to have you on, and we don't need to get you to tell, unless you want to go again in your best radio voice, where people can find your work.
That would be lightonconspiracies.com. and it is conspiracy. You can't put it in if you just like write on light on conspiracies, like 3 words, they will redirect you to some governmental podcast somewhere. It's like
of course.
So, and you need to put it together and .com. If you put my name, oledammegard.com, it goes to a legal firm in Las Vegas. No, in El Paso, Texas. And
really?
I mean, it's sort of like, yeah. So anyway, so that
we'll
or
have it linked in the show notes.
Dammegard.com. And please, if anybody appreciate what I do, the way that it can get to me is financially, because I'm not funded by anyone. But donations are extremely appreciated. Sign up for the retreat. Would love to see you here, to get to know you. Or membership also on my website. That's the only, or my books or whatever. But these are my ways of having an income, and that is sometimes really good to have.
Nice.
Amazing. Yeah. Well, we'd love to support you, Ole, because we're often talking about how we can give. And I often say to Isaac, we need to give to the people that we listen to and we learn from, because, I'm
glad you brought that up, because I was just thinking the same thing that popped in my head. I was like, I grew up tithing in the church, right? And I've kind of woken up to how corrupt institutions have been, but I think there's still a very important spiritual truth with giving. And it's not just to give to get, but there's something about that. It's like training to just let go, just give something. And especially to people that have a heart and a purpose and a mission, like what you're doing, which is, it could be very different. You could be filling people full of fear and telling them to grab up a bunch of guns and go storm the gates. And instead, it's much more empowering and powerful and true, in my opinion, what you're doing. So yeah, I encourage people the same. But if you got some extra coin, throw it Ollie's way. Go to his retreat, experience Bali for yourself. If you felt this tug in your soul to go, just figure it out, make it happen, go there.
I say this is exactly, I'm glad you took it up, because your soul will talk to you. If this is for you, you will feel this. Don't listen to the mind. The mind will say, oh, yeah, that's really, no, wait a second. Within 15 seconds, the mind will say, no, that's part of your security system, to not do stupid things. But it's also the thing that limits you. So wait for it 15 seconds. No, I can't. Then bypass that one and look at it again and say, and ask yourself. And if the answer is yes, I get spirit chills when I talk. If the answer is yes, then do it. Be brave. Yes. I'm not selling anything to you. I'm just saying whatever that is, if your soul is talking to you, do it.
Yes.
Do
Love
it, because we listen too much to this one. This is the one you should not trust. This one is just like this in most people. It's made to just think thoughts. This is the one, the heart. That's the one you should listen to. But the sound, the voice is very quiet. So you need to quiet this one, listen to this one, and feel it. Like the thing that gives you goosebumps, act on it.
Yeah. Love it. Mic drop. Let's just end it there.
All right. Thank you so much for coming on, Ole. And we look forward to seeing you in person someday. And you're welcome back on the show anytime, of course.
Yeah. And anytime I can do it safely, I will come to Australia. I mean, I've crossed many borders, but it's been shit scary at times. And this time I'm a bit like, Twilight Zone, don't be stupid. Anyway, great meeting you.
Thanks, Ole.
Have a good one.
Thanks for tuning in to the Natural AF podcast, where we explore holistic healing modalities, mindsets, and methods that reconnect us to nature and our natural state of being.
If something resonated, share this episode and see the show notes for our guest links, as well as all of our discount codes for our aligned affiliates and Natural Art Form, where we handcraft a range of organic, natural remedies to help support your body's natural healing abilities and help support the show.
If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please take a few seconds to leave us a rating and review. And if you're watching on Rumble or YouTube, hit the like button and drop us a comment, and be sure to subscribe to our channel for the latest updates.
We're not here to conform, we're here to remember what's real. So step into your power, be curious, and be natural AF.